Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Global Asset Channel and my name is Precious. I'm a registered nurse here in Canada. Today we're going to be talking about the news again. It's always new news in Canada, like ever evolving in Canada. So today we'll be talking about the change that came into effect in June 21st, 2024. Again, yet another news. So if you're a student and you had the intention to flagpole, or you're still studying and you have the intention to flagpole, or you already finished and you have the intention to flagpole, this video is for you. Please sit tight, watch this video because it contains information that will help you make informed choice to be able to avert any difficulty that this new law may pose in front of you. Okay, so stay tuned and let's continue. So what is flagpoling? Before we go into talking about flagpoling, I would like to quickly explain a little bit of what flagpoling means in Canada. So before June 21st, 2024, in Canada, if you're an international student, you had two options to apply for your postgraduate work permit. So one of it was just to go online, apply for your work permit, and you wait for a certain amount of time, which was usually 21 days. So you go online, apply, upload certain documents, which we'll be mentioning soon, and then you just go and start waiting for your work permit. And once the work permit comes, you continue your work or you start looking for work, as the case may be. But on the 21st, Mark Miller, the immigration minister, came up to say that there is no more flagpoling. So flagpoling occurs, the definition of flagpoling is this: flagpoling occurs when a temporary resident of Canada bypass the normal wait time involved in applying for a work permit or study permit online by leaving the country and then immediately returning or re-entry to receive same-day immigration service. I'm just going to go through it again. Flagpoling occurs when a temporary resident of Canada bypass the normal wait time involved in applying for a work or study permit online by leaving the country and then immediately re-entry to receive a same-day immigration service. So what that means is that as an international student, sometimes when you're working as an international student, we all know that we are allowed to work certain hours, and most times we usually work casuals, right? People work part-time, people work casually, and sometimes some of these employers, they are more than happy to retain you after you finish your studies. But then it becomes illegal if you finish your studies, because if you finish your studies, your work permit that you had during your school time expires immediately. Some people, just the day they finish their exams, that's the day their work permit actually expires. So what people usually would do after they finish, at the end of school, at the completion of their studies, the school will usually give them a completion letter. Your school, like you're an international student, you finish studying, so you get a completion letter or letter of completion from your school. And what this letter of completion does is to prove that you have finished your study as a student. And this gives you the right to apply for a postgraduate work permit which will usually give you the time to work and accumulate the work hours that will qualify you to apply for a permanent resident. So once you finish your school, you get a completion of letter from your school. This completion of letter gives you or qualifies you to apply for your work permit online. And before 21st of June 2024, students who have graduated will usually go to the borders. We have several borders. I think we have like 12 borders in Canada where they can usually go to, depending on the provinces they reside. So the importance of going to this border was that you go to the border, like the definition of flagpoling, you go to the border and you get same day service. Same day service. So you go to the border, you show your student visa or your previous work permit, and you show it to them. So they issue you right away from that point, as like just face to face. They give you the postgraduate work permit, as against waiting for 21 days, and sometimes it might be more than 21 days. You understand? So right now, what the advantage of getting the going flagpoling was that some people have employers who would not wait for one more time. They can't wait. They need the job to be done. And if you're not going to be present, coming to work after your school, maybe they offered you a full-time position and you're now waiting for 21 days, and sometimes, as the case may be, more than 21 days. So some employers may not be able to be that patient with you, and what that means is that you might stand the chance of losing the job that you probably would have been throughout your school time, right? So like I said, ordinarily when you apply for postgraduate work permit, it will usually take at least 21 working days to get approved, and then you get your work permit. It can even be longer. What are the advantages of flagpoling? More chance to get great job. You get the ability to retain your job that you worked as a student. You get better paid job, because a lot of well-paid job in Canada, they are not looking for somebody who's looking for work permit. They are looking for someone who already has this work permit. So these are the advantages. Yeah, I know somebody will say, oh, once you finish studying, don't the immigration officer give you a letter to send to your employment? Of course they do, but the disadvantage there is that not all companies will accept that letter of acknowledgement for the continuation of your job. Really well-paid jobs, unless there is divine intervention, or unless you have a personal relationship, or that you are an outstanding worker that they want to retain by all means, it's not all companies that we accept that letter from immigration to say, oh, this person, this person, we are aware that this person has finished, and so therefore this person can continue. Job needs to be done, and because work needs to be done, you cannot expect a company to be waiting for someone for 21 days or more than 21 days. So we don't know what's happening with the immigration officer, the immigration ministers, and international students. It seems like this guy doesn't like international students at all, because all the rules, the laws, the policies that he's been implementing since January is really targeted at international students. I would like you to, maybe you might have a different opinion from mine. Put it in the comment section. What do you think? Is this guy really for the good of international students, or is it just wanting to eradicate international students completely? What might be the economic implication to Canada as a country if international students continue to be targeted? Because there's an extent to which you target people and then they decide to go somewhere else. You know, I know a lot of people will say, yeah, if they want to go somewhere else, let them go somewhere else. We don't really know the importance of what we have until we actually lose it. Okay, so yeah, drop your opinion, see what you think about my thought, because I basically think that this is not fair on the international student. This is like a plan or a directed attempt to totally extinguish or discourage or stop international students from coming to Canada to study as students. So that is what I have come to tell us today. If you are in this category, if you are already in, you're almost graduating from school, if you intended to go flagpoling, don't freak out. My suggestions are this: one, make sure you start talking to your employer from this time on. So if you are employed right now, maybe you are casual, you are part-time, please start talking to your employer to say, hey, I was intending to go on flagpole. Explain to them, because some of these people, they don't understand these terminologies. They don't understand what this immigration terminology means. So because they've never really been in need of these things, right? So you want to explain to your employer from this time on to say, hey, I'm finishing by December. My intention was to go flagpoling, and this is what it meant before 21st, and this is what it means now. Is there any chance for me that I might be given extra time to work? Let your employer tell you what they think. If they can, some of them will tell you they can. Some might even try to push it to happen before time. And if they say no, please do not go to work until your work permit comes. If you are working with any employer and they say it's okay, you can come, please do not listen until your work permit comes. Do not go to work. What do I mean by that? For example, you have a work permit that expires on the 30th of June, and you've applied for your new work permit to come, and by 31st your work permit is not out, and you're supposed to go to work on the 1st. Please do not go to work. The reason is that if you go to work on the 1st without a work permit, then you become an illegal worker. And God help if immigration officer by any means storm that office and do a random check on people's eligibility to work, you will be fined for penalty of working in Canada without a work permit. I know it might be tough, but please, my appeal to you is that do not go to work without your work permit. Start talking to your employers from now. Let them understand the situations that you're facing, and if you can get to support people that can pay you, why? Because even though you are waiting for your work permit, you still have to pay bills, right? There's any way you can get job that will give you pay without documentation, please do those things. Do not go to job, do not go and do any work if you don't have the work permit extended yet. Please do not do it. It becomes an illegal issue. And some people were saying that why are they doing this? Some of the reasons why the immigration ministers came up to do this thing is because I think the CBSA, that's the IRCC workers, they were threatening to go on strike because a lot of work the workload was kind of putting them down. It was too heavy on them, and they needed the government to see into it. And one of the work that was actually putting them down is this flagpoling. They said flagpoling was taking a lot of their time. It was taking a turn on their time, and they were not having time to like critically check people that were coming in, and that was getting really dangerous for the public. So they needed that time. I think, I'm just thinking, I've not, like, there is no written resource to say that is what happened, but at this time, what I am thinking is that the immigration ministers, in bid to appease the immigration officers, stop them, make them not to go on strike, is trying to look into some of their demands. And one of their demands was like, this flagpoling has to stop. It's taking turn on our time. So just be aware that if you intend to come to Canada to flagpole, it's no longer a thing in Canada. Before now, people can come in and just go to the border, get a work permit for their spouse, and walk into Canada, and they start working straight away. But it's no longer a thing now. So if you ever come into Canada with the plan to do all those things, you need a plan B. How do you pay your bills? How do you get money until your work permit is granted? So these are things you have to think about before you embark. So if you've watched this video up to now, I want to appreciate you for your support. I want to thank you for your love. I want to thank you for sharing, liking. I want to also say, if you haven't subscribed, please, what are you waiting for? Try to subscribe to encourage me. Comment on this video. What are your thoughts? Do you think that the Canadian government is targeting students? Do you think that this is fair on students? Do you think that this is for the good of the students? Do you think this is just a way to eradicate students completely? Your thoughts, your comments would be appreciated. And if you have any question with regard to flagpoling, maybe there are certain things I didn't touch and you have a question in that aspect, please feel free to put it on the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. Thank you for staying with me. I really appreciate your time. Until I see you in the next video, it's goodbye. Have a good one. Bye. Ìjọ aláyọ̀ kò mọ̀lẹ́ òkú jù dáadáa.